Alright everyone, welcome back. It's your boy Natsuki, and welcome back to another new spanking hot what if. Now, today, courtesy of one of my fans, I have a brand new what if idea for y'all. As you may or may not know, yesterday I created a what if called What If Naruto was Shukaku's son. It's an original idea, and then I got an idea, and then someone, basically, I was asking what should the ship be, and everyone wants it to be Yandere Kaguya. And then I was told by another dude to make what if Deku was the reincarnation of Obito with the 10 tails. You do realize Obito with the 10 tails is known as Juubito, right? Don't ask why I have Judera in here. He's late. He is for, well, later. Okay? That's all I'm gonna say right now. So, yeah. Basically, this what if will be what if Deku was the reincarnation of Juubito. It was unexpected, but hey, it came. So be prepared. And without further ado, let's get into this what if. So, we begin like all stories do, the very beginning. But before we do, just a little thing to clear up some confusion y'all might have. The ship, as I may have said earlier, is Yandere Kaguya. No, she is not a reincarnation, and no, she isn't. It's not a quirk. Allow me to explain. You see, in most of my what ifs that are MHA but pertain to anything Naruto, it will always be the same. The what if the MHA universe will simply have been a farther in the future Naruto universe, with chakra that de-evolved, but at the same time evolved, to the point where you could only use it in one form. So, without further ado, let's begin. When Deku is younger, and when Deku is born, he's born with pale white skin, pale white hair, and 2 horns. Now, I'm going to say, because I can, that both of Deku's horns, no, I like it like this, so there will be no changes to his horns. Okay? As Deku would have been born with marks on one side of his face, 2 horns, white skin, and sort of spikes coming out of his chest, with Tomoe on his chest as well. If you do not know what Tomoe is, you see those black things that look like 9s, and that look like the number 9, or the black and white half of a yin and yang symbol. Those are called Tomoe. As well, Deku basically is born like this, as his mother and father basically, they asked the doctor to test him for a quirk. Deku is tested for a quirk, but it shows up negative. It shows up negative, and the very moment anyone touched him, his skin, the horns reverted into his head, and green hair, and the hair turned green, and his skin turned normal. As they thought it was some sort of light refraction with their eyes. And some sort of thing they were all seeing, like a hallucination. Or someone was using their quirk in it, a sort of hallucinating quirk, or illusion quirk, to make them think that they saw that. As Deku would have been completely quirkless. Now, y'all might be wondering, wait, you still didn't tell us about Juubito and about Jutara yet. Well, allow me to explain. After the great battle, basically after Jutara gets friggin' punched through the heart, and through the chest, I mean, seriously, just oof. Yeah, basically after Jutara gets defeated and killed, he basically is reincarnated into another universe. Now this universe is not the future of the Naruto universe. Instead, he is reincarnated into the body of a black-haired alien simian, or a black-haired, one-tailed humanoid ape, or one of the most famous and most iconic anime characters of all time, Son Goku, or Kakarot. As yes, Goku is the reincarnation of, well, Madara, of Jutara, but that will not come up any time at all in this series. Okay? So yeah. Back to Deku. As... Now y'all, how Juubito died after getting, turned to ash. Basically, after his soul got turned to ash, he was in a sort of heaven with Kakashi and Rin. And then something unexpected happened. He died. As in, he quite literally just poofed out of this heaven. And now he is Deku. And now, well, let's begin. As it's Deku's 4th birthday, pretty much everything goes to canon. He finds out he's quirkless, bullied, and he's quirkless, he's bullied, all of that. And even when he gets one for all. Now, just a bit of a little change to when Deku is 4 years old. When he's 4, he hears a voice in his head that tells him, protect that kid. As he can see, a quirkless person a person with a weak quirk is being bullied by Bakugo. Deku jumps in and blocks Bakugo's explosion from hitting the kid. As Deku would have this same voice in his head at multiple times. Now y'all might be wondering, wait, who's this voice? Well, it's Kaguya. Allow me to explain if you're a bit confused. If you did not know, basically, Black Zetsu kind of merged where it took over Obito's body. Black Zetsu can sort of telepathically speak with Kaguya. I'm with Kaguya. However, I'm just a little thing for this what if. I'm going to say that some of that telepathic ability went to Obito. I went to Deku, basically, via the process of reincarnation. As he would also hear another voice. A voice that would tell him to basically harm Bakugo in any way possible. Now, this voice would not be Kaguya's. It would have been a gruff, more deep and angry voice, as it would be none other than the Ten Tails Shinju. As yes, I'm going to give Shinju a personality. However, in my what if, Shinju's personality basically, he will be like a murderous old man. Okay? Like a murderous old insane man. And when I say insane, I mean like criminally insane. As basically one day Deku is pulled into his mindscape where he meets, well, the Ten Tails. As the Ten Tails, basically, Deku was falling asleep as he met this creature. As it would have been the only time he would have met this creature until many years, as he thought it was just some sort of weird recurring dream. Anyways, now we do a flash forward to when All Might basically offered Deku all one for all. As Deku would be thinking about it, and a voice in his head, this time being Kaguya's, would say, "Do it. Take it." As now y'all might be wondering, why on earth would an immortal goddess be concerned with a mortal boy? Allow me to explain. You see, I'm going to basically put it down like this. Chop it down to this. Every single person has a sort of potential in divine strength. As basically, if they are turned into an Otsutsuki, that divine strength can be unlocked. As Madara's strength was higher than Juubito's. As Madara's strength was just a bit higher than Obito's. However, Deku's, it basically towers over both of them. As imagine their potential about the size of a kitten. Imagine Obito's potential the size of a kitten. Kitten that has been alive for 4 months. Now imagine Madara's potential the size of a regular full-grown house cat. And then imagine Deku's potential the size of a full-grown lion. Yeah. Now I have to say, that's a lot of potential. As Deku's potential basically it is the highest potential for a mortal to have achieved. However, allow me to explain. Now y'all might be wondering, wait, did he like use a genjutsu at birth or something to make him look normal? Not exactly. Allow me to explain. It was sort of a fight or flight response. As basically, it would sort of be basically, the Juubito power would be unlocked until a moment of great grief or betrayal. As we skip to when basically Deku is fighting again. And we skip to when Deku is fighting against. Basically, we skip to when Deku is at the training camp fighting Muscular. Now, of course, Deku is giving his all to save Koda, and then, well, we then see Toga right next to the bleeding Deku, who is giving his all, just scooping some of his blood. Up with a vial, as she then just skips away, laughing it maniacally, as Deku is still fighting against Muscular about 1 hour later. And then he goes, 100%. And then he goes to the power level that he did in canon. I think it was like 1,000,000 or something. And basically punches Muscular into a wall, breaking his arm. As pretty much now Deku would have been knocked out, as we skip to the League of Villains, who basically they would have left without anyone, as what they were at, as I'm gonna say this time they were out for Deku's blood, as they knew that Muscular would be, and while Deku was fighting Muscular, he would have been preoccupied enough to the point where they could take his blood without notice. As basically, the reason why they wanted his blood was because they would have easily found out that Deku was obviously All Might's successor. As then, All for One would get a genius plan to get rid of One for All permanently, or to at least destroy All Might's successor, and to harm All Might emotionally and mentally. As he would have required, of course, Deku's blood for this plan, as he would have used a quirk to basically allow Toga to hold on to this form for as long as she liked. Meaning she would not need refill on Deku's blood. As now she can change into Deku, which is just awkward. As All for One would basically have told Toga to go Now go to UA and begin and attacking things and stealing their files and basically doing bad crap. As well, obviously she would go and do this, as it would have been caught on camera, and basically everyone except Bakugo. Todoroki. Everyone except Bakugo, Todoroki. I'ma say Fumikage Tokiyami. Yajirozu. And Azawa would have, basically, they would all, except the people I just named, would all want to attack Deku and call him a traitor. As when Deku arrived the next day, they would basically have knocked him out and tied him to a chair. As they would they would begin harming Deku by by using acid on him. Basically, Lita would begin kicking him repeatedly and breaking his legs, and then basically breaking the parts of his body that he kicks. Suyu would, of course, be slapping him with her tongue. Even Mineta would be throwing balls at him. But this really does nothing. As now, of course, even Uraraka would have believed the recordings. Basically, only All Might is the one teacher who believes that Deku actually did it. However, since All Might is number one, that basically, he tells the press and that Deku's a traitor, and the cops basically come and take him away. And they take a knocked out, beaten, bloody, and battered Deku away. Now, y'all might be, and also, his ribcage is kind of broken. Now, y'all might be wondering, wait, how's his ribcage broken? Allow me to explain. Earlier I mentioned Uraraka. She would have used her quirk to basically have an anvil floating above Deku, and would have been trying to force him to tell them that he was a traitor. As she would basically then turn off her quirk, and the anvil would fall and crush Deku's spine and his ribcage. And Deku basically would have been brought to basically jail or a prison. Sorry about that. As Deku would have been brought to a prison and would have been asked for someone to, watch. Basically, he would have been asked for a roommate. As he would have a roommate with him, and I'ma just say that his roommate is named Azura. Okay? Not related to Ashura or anything like that. His name's just Azura. His work is simply, it's a sort of mutation but also enhancer quirk. As when Azura is mad, cracks will open up in his skin, as then lava will flow through these cracks. He cannot expel this lava out in attacks, but it can make him at about 1,000 times stronger. And about 100 times stronger. As Azura basically would be Deku's cellmate, as he would be, taking care of Deku. As Azura basically would begin and bandaging Deku and trying to cover up his broken ribcage. As Azura was not exactly a villain, more or such, he was just a teenager who wanted to have a bit of fun. As, yeah, his fun would have led him onto a terrible path, which he would have basically turned himself in, trying to redeem his sins. As Azura would actually be a very kind and nice guy. As we go to Deku's mindscape, as in Deku's mindscape, he basically hears a voice. This voice is a third. It is unlike any he has ever heard. It's, in a way, raspy, but in a way, it's sort of loud, but also, weak. It's a sort of strange voice he hears. As he hears this voice coming from the blackness that he's in. He has no idea where he is, so he wanders towards the voice. As he basically is wandering in this black void until he sees what appears to be a music box in his head. Now, Deku has no idea that he's in his head, but he sees that this music box is very, very, very ancient, as it has sorts of symbols all over it, complex symbols that are ancient Sumerian. By the way, I'm pretty sure ancient Sumerian is one of the hardest languages on Earth. It's pretty much a very dead language. As imagine a combination of Nordic runes and Japanese. Yeah. As Deku would begin reading, and Deku would basically try to read the symbols, and he would actually get something. But it was only a name. Juubito. As Deku would basically reach over to the music box and would see a small, golden little handle, as he would begin cranking the handle, as suddenly the lid would open, but not like normal music boxes. Instead, it would slide into 4 pieces that would fold down, as suddenly a white lotus and a white sort of lotus would begin to rise, as well, no, not a white lotus, as a white orb would begin to rise, as the white orb would then unfold into a white lotus flower. As then from the lotus flower would then rise a white and purple sort of mist. As then it felt like something unholy or ancient and powerful was just awoken. As spoiler, yes, spoiler alert, yes, something was awoken. Or should I say someone? As the voice would then sound more clear. It would not be one of the ones he's heard before, however, as it would have said, So you are the one who has awakened me? As Deku would turn around to see a man that looked like this. As he'd said, who are you? As the man would said, First off, boy, tell me, who are you? First off, child, tell me, who are you? As Deku would explain that his name was Izuka Midoriya, and that he was quirkless. Quirkless without any power, or at least that's what he thought. As Obito would look at him and chuckle, as he would say, well, allow me to ask you a question. If you're quirkless... Sorry about that. Sorry about that loud noise. As he would have said, if you're quirkless, then how am I here? And if you're powerless, then how am I here? As Deku would have said, I don't know. Oh, what do you mean? As he would have then said, you're my reincarnation. Of course, meaning that you should have my powers, abilities, and far more. Well, depending on your potential. As Juubito would stand up. As when he was talking to Deku, he would have been on his knees. As he would stand up, and about at 8 feet tall. As he would be, about 7'3". Yeah, I think that's a good size. About 7'3", as he would be towering over Deku. As Juubito would then say, let me see. Ah, there it is. As Deku's mindscape would have been like a blank, would have been like Naruto's, like a sewer. As Juubito would have pulled into the murky depths, into the murky water, and would have pulled out a sort of, scroll. As he would have opened the scroll and would then say, now let's see how much divine potential you have. As suddenly a ginormous black and white lion would form out of the scroll out of chakra. As he would then say, holy, that is definitely a lot of chakra. And that's definitely a lot of potential. Far more than me, and even Madara. As Deku would then say, who is Madara? As Juubito would then say, Madara is a man who betrayed me. Who tricked me into basically being a part of his plans. However, when he became basically a divine being like you see me right now, like you see I am right now, he was a bit stronger than me. In fact, he was so strong that he could cast a eternal slumber over the entire earth, as he would begin draining the energy and life force energy out of out of everyone, just to create a peaceful world. As Deku would then said, "Oh, dear me." As Juubito would then say, "Yes, but anywho, why are you here?" As Deku would then said, I would then say, "I don't know. I was in my class and I got beaten up and then I'm here." As Juubito would then say, "Very well then. So it appears it's time already." As Juubito would then say, "Before we begin, then please tell me, how old are you?" As Deku would then say, "I'm about 14, sir." As he would basically open his eye, as Obito would then say, "Geez, 14 already. Well, okay then. By jurisdiction, I have to begin training you. At least until you experience unholy heartbreak. And then you probably won't see me anymore." As Juubito would say, "Anyways, wake up." As he would snap his fingers and Deku would wake up. As Azura would be tending to Deku's wounds, as Deku's ribcage would begin healing itself. Now, of course, this would be Obito's work, and Juubito's work. Along with the Ten Tails' work. As basically Azura would then say, "Ah, you're awake." As Deku would say, "Who are you?" As Azura would then say, "Oh, well, I'm Azura. I'm a bit of a juvenile, you could say. I came to this I basically turned myself in, trying to right a couple of wrongs. And, well, you?" As then Deku would say, "I was a hero, or a hero in training at least. I was strong, powerful, and I even am the number one hero, All Might. I cheered me on. I was his successor, supposed to take the number one spot from him when he retired, or died. But then something strange happened today. I was betrayed. Some people tried to stop up the traitors, but others didn't. Others attacked me. And now I'm here." As he would then say, "Tough. Well then, sorry, kid." As then there would be a knock on the prison. On the air cell door. As a guard would then say, Hey, you have Izuka Midoriya, you have a visitor." As the visitor would simply have been just a kid with sort of and who basically looked like an angry Pomeranian. Seriously, have you not seen the meme where our Bakugo is right next to a Pomeranian, and then it's posted on Twitter, and one of the tweets says, "I see no difference," or "There's no visible difference." Yes, Bakugo would have shown up to see Deku. As Bakugo would have then said, "Deku, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know that it wasn't you. I know you weren't the traitor." Because, well, as Bakugo and as Deku would then say, "How do you know I'm not the traitor?" As Bakugo would literally, he would have a stern face as he'd stare at Deku and say, "Seriously, I've known you since before you were 4. We've been best friends since we were little. I've known you. I've experienced everything in my life with you, even if some of it, or maybe even most of it, was bad things. You're still my best friend. And I know, that my shitty little nerd wouldn't do this." As Deku would have then said, "You're right. It appears I've been framed." As Bakugo would then say, "Yeah. Me, Aizawa, Birdbrain, me, Zombie, Birdbrain, along with a couple of others, pretty much are on your side. Everyone else is off your side. However. So yeah, sorry." As Bakugo would then say, Anyways, Deku, I came here to tell you something. Aizawa, Momo, and Tokoyami are trying to, get you out of here. Along with Principal Nezu, and 1B, and a couple other heroes. And even Endeavor is trying to help you. Hell, I see Hot's on our side. As Endeavor, I'm gonna say that he was a bit more kind in this what if. Just a bit more kind. As Deku, as now we do a time skip to when Deku is at the age of to about 2 years later. Deku is now 16. Every night, he basically goes to his mindscape and meets with Juubito, to train. Juubito trains him on, taijutsu, and trying to unlock genjutsu. As right now, Deku basically can't use very much chakra. As right now, the only jutsu he can do is just a simple fireball and one shadow clone. As, he isn't exactly the strongest right now, but that'll change. As we skip one week, as Deku would basically, he would be in court. As we skip to the Midoriya household, Inko has been struggling for the last 2 years. Ever since her son was locked up, she would get hate mail. Quite literally, hate mail. Like, people saying, go kill yourself, your son is a villain. Your son is a villain. Go kill yourself. And so, like, your son is a mistake. You shouldn't even want to be alive with him. And so, due to all this pressure, she would overdose. And, well, we skip one day later. Deku would have been having a quite nice day, considering that he's in a prison. He would have been playing chess with Azura, and beaten Azura for the 46th time in 1 hour. As there would be a knock on the cell door. As this time Aizawa would walk in. As usually, he would be smiling when he walked in, and would say, "Hey, problem child, listen up." And he would tell Deku all that's happening, and it would usually be good news. However, this time, Aizawa would be looking down with a sort of defeated and broken face, as he would say, I don't want to say it, just look. As Aizawa would simply have handed Deku a piece of paper, which was a case, and which was taken from a police crime scene. As Inko Midoriya overdosed at the Midoriya household yesterday, as Deku would he would feel shattered, as suddenly chakra would begin flowing throughout the entire room, along with bloodlust and killing intent, as suddenly no one could get up. As Deku would be holding his head and screaming, "No, no, 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 no," as he'd begin crying and repeating the same word, "No." As Deku would then he would begin glowing with this sort of white aura around him. As suddenly, chakra would actually begin to form around him in a physical state. As then Deku's entire body and everything would then turn into white chakra, as the chakra would then swirl around and turn into the size of an orb. As the orb would then begin to crack and shatter, as it would be floating up, and, well, allow me to show you basically what would happen. As suddenly, an orb would form like this, as it would crack, and then a divine being would stand before Aizawa and everyone else. As it would be the Almighty. Deku himself. as they'd say, hey, as Azawa would then say, Midoriya, what has happened to you? What just happened? As Deku would then say, I am no... And as Bakugo would say, Izuku, come on. As Azara would say, Izuku, is everything okay? As then... And the new almighty creature that looked like this would then say, I am no longer Izuku Midoriya. I am now Juubito. Oh, I am now Izuku Otsutsuki. Now allow me to explain how exactly this happened. About 5 minutes into Deku's mindscape, as he would be on the ground, heart shattered and bloody. As then Juubito would say, Oh dear, it appears it's already time, huh? Only got 2 years with the boy. Oh well. As he would summon his sun staff and bang it on the ground. As suddenly a cage would open up, and Shinju would walk out. As he would say, Shinju, it's finally time. You know what that means, right? As Shinju would know exactly what was about to happen. And Shinju would then say, well then, I guess it is time. As Shinju would begin transforming into one half of a shell and one half of the circular shell. Well, as Juubito would turn to another half of the circular shell. As Deku, in his mind, would be put inside of the circular shell. As in the real world, the two sides would appear around Deku, and that would happen. As Deku would awaken, now as no longer mortal, but now one of the most powerful gods to ever exist, Izuku Otsutsuki. And that's where I'm ending this part off. Hope y'all enjoyed part 1 of What If Izuku Midoriya was what if Deku was the reincarnation of Juubito. Hope y'all enjoyed, and peace.